everyone, and welcome to No Idea, a mental health podcast. My name is Nathan.
And my name's Emily, and today we're going to be talking about depression.
So, nice, light, easy subject for us to talk about today, but it is one of the more important ones because it's something like 14 million people across the world are diagnosed with depression. So it's a huge area that people struggle with. What's your understanding of depression? When you think of the word depression, like what comes to mind for you?
I think it's a really hard one to describe, isn't it? Because we're limited by words.
I'm happy with images. Like, go with images if that's your language.
Well, very simply, I would probably say low mood that can last a long time. That doesn't really feel like it quite covers it, does it? Like it's the heaviness, it's the all-encompassing nature of depression. The how much it debilitates you, how much it being able, makes you stop enjoying life.
When you say like it doesn't quite cover it, saying like low mood, like this is something you might relate to as a parent. Like when you speak to a parent and you say, "Oh, what's it like having kids?" and they go, "Yeah, it can be tough." Like it's true, but it doesn't quite scratch the surface of it, does it? It's all the nuance of that. And I think when we talk about depression, it is that idea of like low mood is the first thing we go to. But I always think of it being like so much more than that.
Absolutely.
And like today's actually a really good day for me to discuss this because the analogy that comes to mind. So Wednesday evenings I play football and we're recording this on Thursday. And I also intermittent fast because it helps to manage my blood sugar levels. So I went and played football last night for an hour and I haven't eaten since then. So my body at the moment is like running on empty. Like it's functioning just about, but it's going, we really just need some food. And it's like that sort of sense of being completely drained physically. And I think depression is like, take that, but then translate it to like your mind, your emotions, just that sense of I'm running on empty. I've got nothing to give. I'm finding it really hard just to function.
Yeah.
And that for me is how I kind of visualize depression and it being all encompassing as well.
Yeah. And I always think of it being dark. It's dark and heavy. It's a hard place to pull yourself from.
Definitely, I would definitely agree with that. And dark is like the imagery that often gets used around it. Dark and heavy. But what's been your experiences around depression as a therapist with clients, but just in general, like how have you come across it?
I think it's a very common thing, isn't it, that people come to therapy for. Often therapists refer to it. Depression and anxiety is the bread and butter of counselling. So my experience personally, I don't think I've ever fallen into deep depression. I've had periods of depression resulting from, like relationship breakdowns or grief.
Would you describe those as like depression or I think grief is a really interesting one because the crossover between depression and grief I find is a really grey area.
Yeah, it's a difficult
Like
one.
when you look at the symptoms of grief and the symptoms of depression, they are very, very similar. And I was saying, like, okay, well, how do you know which is which?
Well, I think that also adds another dimension to my answer because I spoke about relationship breakdown. So again, that's grief, isn't it?
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
including grief in that. Yeah.
How do you know, like, what is?
I don't know that you do. I don't know that there is a distinction, is there? That they can completely merge into one another.
And I think, I mean, we're talking about in these episodes about very specific self-contained topics.
Yeah.
But I also come back to the thing of like, does it matter what the label is? Does it matter if it's grief or depression? If you're struggling and you need help, then does the label make much of a difference? I guess I appreciate for some people, maybe it does.
I think it's helpful, isn't it, in being able to say to people, this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm suffering with depression or I'm in grief. But I do find it quite restrictive having a label, like you say, because now we're kind of caught in the crossfire of, well, which one is it? When probably a mixture of both.
Yeah.
Or are they the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you look at the symptoms of depression, low mood comes up, lack of energy, lack of motivation.
Yeah.
But I think like many mental health conditions, it can be so varied. So like lack of energy is one, but then you have people who are very angry and irritable when they're depressed. And actually there's quite a high energy with that. And that doesn't feel like it fits with the stereotypical view of depression. So I think it can be so varied. And I've experienced that in my practice with clients that I can have several clients all coming to me with depression and they're all experiencing it in different ways. and
Yeah.
it's impacting them differently.
Yeah. It's such an individual thing, isn't it? And I think, and the same as it can change from one day to the next if you're feeling depressed. You can feel angry one day and then heavy and, not being able to move the next day. It's so different.
Yeah, the symptoms aren't consistent, like you say. Sometimes you're feeling one symptom more than the others. It's more present. And just like any like mental health condition, it fluctuates as well. Like some days you'll have good days, some days you'll have bad days. It
Yeah.
will just fluctuate. So it's a really difficult thing to pin down. I always think of depression as well as a very long-term condition.
Mm.
Like I always describe it as it's not something that people sort of wake up one day and all of a sudden they were depressed and yesterday they were fine. It's often a gradual slide into it. I always find that it's a gradual climb out of it as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no quick fix, is there? It's a slow process, in and out.
And that's a hard thing with depression is that there is no quick fix, like not even antidepressants. If that's something that works and that,
No.
that helps you, that's great. But that can always take a couple of weeks, usually for most people,
Mm.
before you start to feel the effects. But there's no quick fix. And it's hard, I think, when you're struggling with depression to be in that dark place, knowing that this is potentially a long term thing. I think that's really hard. So,
Yeah. It's a hard thing to come to terms with, I think.
what do you think the difference is between depression and sadness? Because the two are often very closely equated.
See, I think sadness is something that you can have but continue your normal life with. So
Mm.
you can feel sad about something, but it doesn't necessarily stop you going out or enjoying good film or good food. It's not so weird, like freezing
Yeah.
sadness. Whereas I think depression is something that completely takes over. There'll be days where you feel like you can't get out of bed.
Yeah. I
That for
think
me is the distinction.
debilitating is the word that comes to mind. Like sadness is rarely debilitating. You can, like you
Yeah.
say, you can function. I also think with sadness as well, we tend to know why we're sad. You can
Yeah.
pinpoint what the cause is. And I think
Yeah.
with depression, that's the other thing that I think is so difficult is that it's really hard sometimes to pin down, okay, why do I feel like
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
And that's hard, I think. A lot of my clients have struggles with that because it's like, well, why do I feel like
Yeah.
this? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. If I knew why, my brain could kind of wrap itself around it and kind of go, okay, well, I understand that this happened and this is the consequence. But it just seems like this has come out of nowhere.
Yeah, because it's that controllable and uncontrollable aspect, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
if it's sad, you can see, oh, okay, well, that happened. What can I do to control it?
Yeah.
Whereas, and you have people coming and saying, I shouldn't be feeling like this. I shouldn't be feeling depressed. I have all these things.
Mhm.
And that's really hard, isn't it?
It's the shoulds and shouldn'ts, which
The
I
shoulds
always
and the
say are
shouldn'ts.
the two most dangerous words in the English language because it puts such expectation and such
Yeah.
pressure. And that idea of I shouldn't feel this way. Like you say, because I have X, Y, and Z, I've got a good job, I've got family, I've got friends, I've, financially secure, I've got all the things that I should have to be
Yeah.
happy because that's what society says we should have to be happy, feel happy. And then you get the added layer of guilt, I think, that goes with that of, well, I shouldn't feel like this. Other people have it worse than me, so I should be grateful. And then you're just adding the weight of guilt onto the weight of
Yes.
depression.
Good old British
Oh,
dismissiveness. I shouldn't be feeling like this. I have ever.
I think the other distinction that I use for sadness as well is that when you feel sad about something, you generally know that it's time limited. Like I feel sad now, but tomorrow I'm going to feel better, or next week, or next month. There's an end point to it. You can sort
Yeah.
of know, okay, yeah, I'm sad because of this. And that could just be like something very small, but okay, in a couple of days' time, I'll have forgotten all about it.
Yeah.
But with depression, it's a sense of I can't see the end to. And I think that's why
Yeah.
depression becomes really dangerous.
Yeah. Get that getting lost in it.
Yeah. And it's like, I can't see the way out. And then you start to believe, okay, what if there isn't a way out? Like,
Mhm.
what if this is it? What if this is my life? This is all I'm going to feel. I think that's really tough.
It's scary, isn't it? It's scary to be stuck in that.
Terrifying. I mean, absolutely. If you're someone who's going through this, this might resonate. That idea of just not being able to see the end of it. I think that's an absolutely terrifying place to be in. And if someone
Mm.
is scared of that, I completely get it because I don't know that this is going to get better. And if it doesn't, can I keep going like that? That's hard. It's really hard. I think there's like real distinctions there between the two. I think when you think about what causes depression, I mean, I kind of put that down as a question for us to try and sort of tackle because I know people will be listening going, okay, well, I don't really understand depression and I kind of want to know what it's, how people experience it, but also why do people get depressed? And I wish there was a really simple answer to give you of like, okay, it's X, Y, and Zs. And I think there are some things that like we can say. So like, for example, like brain injuries. Like, brain injury can cause depression. And that's just a simple case of your brain is damaged, a consequence of it. That is, I think, the only sort of cause that I can go, this has a logical reason to it.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, when I looked at the podcast notes, that was the question I was dreading because I don't know the answer. And it kind of resonates with the state of depression, doesn't it? If you want to have an answer, you want to have something you can grab hold of because that makes it feel less terrifying when the reality is there isn't a clear direct answer to it.
And actually, I wrote the question, so I've got no excuse. Like, I could have just left that off, but I thought, no, I'll put it in because I think it's important to tackle.
Yeah.
But my big worry about looking at the causes of depression is what if, because it's so varied and it varies from person to person, what if we go, okay, generally speaking, it's this, or this? And someone goes, but I haven't experienced any of
Yeah.
those.
I don't fit in that.
And I am experiencing depression. And what I don't want to do is minimize that experience for them because the reality is it can be a number of things. And it
Yeah.
can be things that actually we might sort of look at and go, taking a step back, go, well, that shouldn't. Like this time of year, for example, we're doing a fair bit of work with students. We're going, it's coming up to that time where students are going to be starting university. And like those kind of big life changes, like something as simple as a big life change can be a trigger for depression, even if it's something you're really excited to go and do. Like for a student, you're maybe going to a new city, new location, new friends, new environment. Like even if you're really excited for that, the fact that it's quite a significant change can be a trigger for depression. But then for some people, it's not. Some people, it's great. It's a
Yeah.
lovely time. And it's like, well, there's no rhyme or reason a lot of the time with the causes of depression.
I think it's probably easier to look at factors that can contribute
Yeah.
rather than what causes it. I think
Yeah. It's a better way of looking.
that's less of a loaded question, isn't
Yeah.
it?
So what are the factors that can contribute towards depression?
Well, what you spoke about, big lifestyle changes, within job, university, for example, moving out, loss,
I think loss is a big one. And
big
again, we're back to
one.
that grey area of like what is grief and what is depression. But I think it can be a big trigger. It can be a big contributing factor. And that can be any kind of loss, not just the loss of a relationship. It's loss of a job, loss of identity. So
Yeah.
like people experience it when they retire because
Yeah,
they've worked all their life. That's been a part of their
absolutely.
identity. And then who am I now without that?
Yeah.
And I think one of the big ones when it comes to loss that I think gets overlooked is like pet bereavement.
I was about to say that too. Yeah.
It's like, and a lot of people will go, it's just a dog, it's just a cat. And it's like, there's no just about it.
No.
It's a family
No.
member and it's a different kind of connection. And I think because it's not recognized, like if you lose a child, for example, everyone immediately gets how awful that is. You lose a pet, people go, well, happens.
Yeah. People do. They minimize that, don't they?
Yeah.
They minimize that loss.
And I think that can be, and I'll spend, my experience from the start of the year in January where I had to have our dog Aura put to sleep. And like, I mean, we're in August now. I'm still not over that. But I know the months just after, like January, February, even down into March, like everything just felt a bit duller. Everything just didn't have the same kind of excitement or energy to it.
I think that might be one difference that's popping up for me with grief and depression, that grief you learn to live with. Like it doesn't go, does it?
No.
You live around it, and there'll be days where something can really trigger you to feel that grief again, and another day where it doesn't. Whereas I think with depression, there is the possibility that can go completely.
Yeah.
You may be more susceptible to experiencing it again. Do you agree with that?
Yeah,
I
I
feel
think
like I'm
so.
trying to be careful with my wording
So why are we trying to be careful with the wording?
because I don't want to minimize depression over grief or grief over depression. They're two
Yeah.
equally really awful, awful things to experience.
We're not keeping score here. We're not ranking which one's worse. Like
No.
both are equally terrible
Yes.
to go through.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I get that kind of the same kind of worry of like, I don't want to minimize someone's experience
Yeah.
because actually these experiences are terrible to go through. I think those sort of factors that contribute, there's a lot around personal circumstances,
Yeah.
finances, social circles,
Yeah. Support
relationships,
network.
support networks. And I think sometimes like just something going wrong in your life at just the wrong time. And I think that's with a lot of my clients, that's what I saw is it wasn't something big that had happened. It was something that in their words was like, this is really small. Why is this affecting me so much? And so, well, it isn't the fact that this happened. It's the fact that this happened at a time where you were also dealing with this and you were dealing with this. And actually you were just a bit more vulnerable. And it's almost like if I walk up to you and like gently sort of prod you, if your feet are flat on the floor, you're going to be fine. But if you were just off balance or you were standing on one leg or you were mid stride, like that one prod is going to knock you off balance. And I think it's just those little things. I say little things.
It's the
Things
accumulation of stuff, isn't it? Of
definitely,
the
yeah.
build up.
I don't think it's always one thing with depression. It is
No.
just a build up of things that on their own, if it was just that we were dealing with, we'd probably be okay.
Yeah.
It's just actually we're dealing with like too much for too long.
Yeah. It's like the pressure pot, isn't it, that we talk about? Or, oh, well, there's many analogies, isn't there?
What's
There's
the
the
pressure pot?
bucket
What's the pressure pot one?
where eventually you just keep putting stuff in and eventually it just blows because it's full.
Yeah.
It's hot.
So that one, stress bucket is the other one. So
Yeah.
depression, like you're just pouring things in. Eventually you're going to hit capacity.
Yeah. And it's going to spill over somewhere.
The other one that I use, and actually I'm going to grab my water bottle for this one. So, and I use this quite a lot in my training. Like I'll get someone with a water bottle in the room and say, right, just hold that out in front of you. All right, I can. Actually, I'll get you to do it. Why am I doing it? You can do that.
Okay.
Hold that out in front of you. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being really light, 10 being really heavy, how heavy would you say the bottle is?
2?
Not very heavy.
No.
I ask you to hold that out there like that for the next 15 minutes.
I'm probably not going to do that.
I mean, you say you're not going to do that. I'm not going to make you do it, but how heavy do you imagine it would be after 15 minutes?
Maybe closer to an 8.
Yeah. I'm so tempted just to leave you there with it.
What?
The point is, the weight of the bottle doesn't change, does it?
No.
The bottle stays
No.
the same. And actually, at first, it's fine. It's the length of time you expected to hold it that becomes the problem. And I think that's one of those big causes of depression that kind of gets missed, is something that on the surface seems really small, but you've been having to hold it for so long. And I think that's where things like financial stress comes into it.
Yeah.
Like if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're just about scraping by, like you are scraping by, but every month you're worried about it, and that's going on for months on end, that starts to wear you down.
Mm.
And I think that's one of the risk factors for depression, is those things that if they're happening short term, we cope with fine, but they're happening either over a longer period of time or it's one thing after another after another. And I think that's where we start to struggle.
And I think we're not very good at acknowledging that, are we? So I think we're carrying that weight without being fully aware of it. Like we're aware that we're stressed, but not being aware that that's something we're carrying around every day and talking that through with people.
I think the lack of acknowledgement adds to the risk factor. Because if you knew this was something that started to have an impact and I did something about it early, it probably wouldn't grow to be the issue that it becomes. But we either aren't aware of it or we do I should be able to cope with this.
And we live in such a busy world, don't we, where we're just jumping from things to things and things.
That lack of time to pause, to reflect. But for someone who's struggling with depression, and as we know, that's many, many people, millions of people out there struggling with depression. What are some of the kind of tips that you would give someone for coping with that, for dealing with it and coming out the other side of it?
So I think it's important to be kind to yourself in terms of respecting where you're at. You know, you may not understand it. You may think that you should be able to cope with it, but for whatever reason, this is how you're feeling at the moment. And I would think kind of tailor your expectations of what you can and cannot do. So there'll be days where all you can do is lift your head up off the pillow, and that's okay. You know, we start again tomorrow and we see if tomorrow maybe we can add something to that list. If we can't. You know, I think it's about being realistic as to where you're at in that moment, day to day.
I think that it's such a good tip to kind of say, like, be kind to yourself and kind of accept where you are. I'm also aware of just how hard that can be. Yeah, but I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here, Emily. I don't want to feel like this. And it's kind of like, you have to kind of go, yeah, but I am.
Yeah, that's the reality of it.
And I think it's kind of when you relate physical health and mental health as examples. So like if you just had like a really bad chest infection, nobody wants that. But you have to kind of accept, okay, this is where I'm at and I need to adjust my expectations of what I can do right now. Because I can't be the person that I normally am. I'm kind of sort of I'm laid up, I'm unwell, I'm not able to function. I have to accept that. I have to scale back what my expectations are and what I try and do. And I have to just take some simple steps that are hopefully going to help me get better, but also trust that my body's going to heal itself. But I think it's harder when it comes to mental health because it's like, well, no, I shouldn't feel like this and I should be able to pull myself out of it by force of will alone almost.
Yeah. So I would then counteract that by saying, well, what would you say to your best friend in this circumstance? You know, if you're battling with that critical voice of I should be able to do something else. I would also say if there's an aspect of, needing to get permission from somebody else, think about what a therapist might say to you, for example,
Yeah.
or a friend or a parent, get permission that way. And actually, our brain believes what we tell it. So if you keep repeating that,
Yeah.
that is something it will learn to believe as well. And you're not going to get better unless you think about where you're at and tailor how you are towards yourself.
And I think, if you've got someone you can ask that question to, like if you can say to someone, can you just tell me that it's okay for me to not be my
Yeah,
normal self? Can you tell me it's okay that I might struggle to get out of bed this morning? I might not be able to get out of bed until the afternoon. And when I do, I might be able to get as far as the sofa and that's going to be it
that's
for the
okay.
day. Like, is it okay that I have a day where that's all I can do?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
find that person who will go, absolutely, of course you can have permission to, because I think sometimes it's hard for us to give ourselves permission to do that.
Yeah. Or get it written down. I'm sure we did that at uni where I said, you need to say that this is okay for whatever it is. And I can't even remember.
Or we talked about this before, like, tell me it's going to be okay.
Yeah,
Like,
but
just,
what were we? I can't remember I was asking for it in reference, but I'm sure you wrote it down so that I could see that physical. Oh, okay, this is okay. Actually,
yeah,
it's going to be all right. This is
something you
just
can
how I
go
feel at the
back to
moment.
if you need to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something tangible to hold.
So recognize where you're at, be kind to yourself, give yourself permission to not be 100% right now.
Mhm.
I think kind of to add to that, I would say like baby steps are still steps. I'm a huge advocate of that. If all you did is get out of bed this morning and kind of pulled your quilt cover up so it sort of looks like your bed is made, it doesn't have to be perfect.
That'll do.
Like you've done something great. And I think actually when you start, if you start like analyzing the things that you do, there's always things that you can go, okay, well, I did that. Like, and I didn't need to. Like, I got dressed. I didn't go out today, but I got
Yeah,
dressed. Fantastic. Great.
yeah, that's
You've
something.
done something.
Yeah.
Small steps, baby steps are still steps. I have this idea in my head. I don't know whether I'll ever get around to doing it because, like, one of my self care things is like going walking and going like hiking and going up mountains. I have this thing about being really high. It's a really, really weird thing of like wherever I go somewhere, like I have to find. I want to go on holidays. Like, okay, what's the tallest thing around? Can I get to the top of it?
Fine.
I don't know. I think it's just something about the view. I think it's just something about like when I go like mountain climbing. And I say mountain climbing, it's not like ropes and harnesses and things like
Not
that.
Everest.
Because I love the idea of Everest. The reality is like my anxiety would never
Pretty terrifying.
anything. If you watch mountaineers where they pin a tiny little peg into a crack in a mountain and then attach the rope to it, like that is going to hold you. That's crazy stuff. But like if there's a path that I can walk,
Okay.
like that kind of sort of mountain stuff. So like, Snowdon, Ben Nevis, places like that. I love Snowdon. It's one of my favorite places. I think it's just something about when you're up there and it's like you just see the world kind of fall away beneath you. And it just makes me kind of feel like I'm part of something bigger.
Yeah,
It's quite a spiritual thing for me, a strange sort of way.
I like that.
And now I'm completely unaware of what my original point was, which was, oh no, yes, it was. The reason I mentioned it was I had this idea for a thing in my head of like, when I say to people like, look, small steps are still progress.
Yeah.
The reaction I often get is, yeah, but it's not much progress. I had this thing of like, one day I'm going to like pick a mountain and I'm going to go and climb it just by taking baby steps. Like literally like tiny little steps. It's going to take me absolutely ages, but I'll still do it. I will get from the bottom to the top taking baby steps.
Mm.
And it will be proof that, you know what, a baby step is still progress. And do amazing things taking baby steps.
Yeah. And we're not asking you to climb the mountain every day, are we? We're saying,
No,
right, well, today you get dressed. That's it.
don't get me wrong, getting dressed might feel like climbing a
Yes,
mountain.
yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
But I always say scale it back to what's manageable. So
Manageable.
like when we look at the things that are scientifically proven to help with depression, like exercise is one that keeps coming up. Going for a walk, So the idea of, okay, we'll go for a long walk. Well, you know what? Some days I'm not going to have the energy to do. But if I can't go for a long walk, can I go for a short walk? And if I can't do that, can I walk around the block? And if I can't do that, can I walk to the end of my driveway and back? And if I can't do that, can I just go and stand in the garden? Scale it back to whatever's manageable today, because maybe tomorrow that's different.
Yeah,
Maybe tomorrow you can do more. You just scale it back to whatever's manageable and accept, okay, this is where I'm at today. And that's fine. Like, it's not where you're always going to be, but you're doing something. And celebrate that. Celebrate the baby steps. Okay, you know what? I'm fighting this. I think that's really important.
absolutely. Yeah. And I think, something you said there, that it's important to remember that this is, that we're looking for ways out.
I think we often forget that depression is an illness. It is something that you are experiencing. It's not something that you are.
Yeah.
People go, I am depressed. Like, no, you're experiencing depression. And we don't go, I am the flu. We go, I have the flu. Again, looking into like physical things, we don't say I am cancer. We go, I have
No,
cancer. It's
no.
something that I am experiencing. We see it as an illness. We don't see depression as an illness. It's I am. It's like we own it, and I know maybe that's because it feels like it takes over
It's
the.
that all encompassing thing, isn't it, again?
Yeah, but I think we maybe have to get a little bit better at going. Okay, no, I am not this. I'm experiencing this. And if I'm experiencing it, that gives the possibility that that can change. As hard as that kind of is to make that distinction.
Yeah. Kind of trying to separate from it a little bit in terms of this isn't all that I am.
Yeah. And I mean, that message of like, this isn't all that I am, I know from personal experience how hard that is to separate the two. Like, I went to the effort of tattooing it on my arm to remind
You
myself of
did.
this isn't everything you are. And I mean, I wouldn't necessarily recommend like all the key messages in your life you need to learn tattooing them on your body, because eventually you do start to run out of space. But that was like a really key message for me of like, okay, you're experiencing this, you're not this. This
Yeah.
is a part of who you are. It's a part of your life story now. That doesn't mean it's everything. And I think that idea of like when we're experiencing depression, that we can't do this and we can't do that, we can't, it's hard to socialize with people. People message you and like you don't respond for days on end. And we go, oh, I'm such a terrible friend. It's like, actually, no, you're not. Like, you are experiencing an illness, and that means that you can't do certain things like you could or like you might want to. That doesn't devalue you as a person. You still have value, you still have worth. And I think, especially when it comes to being a friend, that idea of, you know what, if it means you disappear for a few days on end, that doesn't mean you're any less worthy or any less worthy of friends. That's, yes, a few sort of tips there. Any other tips that you can think of?
I think similarly what we've said before about if you're able to perhaps confiding in a friend, because I think depression you can get into such a tangle with and it just grows and grows. Sometimes it can be helpful just to say, this is where I'm at right now.
And actually, just the power of voicing. And we've talked about this before, but I know it'll come up many times in the
Yeah.
future as well. Of like, it might be that all you say is like, look, I'm not okay. I'm feeling really low. I'm really struggling. I think what I'm experiencing is depression, or I know what I'm experiencing is depression. And that's all I can say about it right now. I don't know what else to say. I don't know. I just need you to know. Because I think it's one of those things where the moment we voice it, it does lose a little bit of its power. I think it kind of can help with that,
Mm,
to just let people around you know where you're at and maybe ask for what you need if you know what you need as well.
yeah.
They're like, actually, I just need a bit of patience if I don't respond straight away to you. Or maybe just check in with me after a couple of days if you haven't heard anything.
Because we know that loneliness isn't good for human beings, don't we? And I think with depression, sometimes there is the temptation to isolate ourselves.
I think it comes down to the fact that everything feels so hard.
Yeah.
So, like, being around people, like, other people are lovely, but other people are hard. Hard being, it takes a lot of energy to be around people.
It does, especially when you don't have it, when all
Yeah.
your energy is getting up out of bed.
Yeah. And especially if you feel like you have to pretend like you're okay.
But that's it, isn't it?
And
It's
that's,
about saying to one person, I'm not okay. So trying to keep a line of contact with somebody.
so, you know, ask for what you need. Have that one person, if you've got them, that you
If
can
you
just
can.
let them know that actually I'm not okay. It's a starting point.
Mm.
It is definitely a starting. I always think about when we look at, and I'm always very mindful, as I've mentioned already about exercise, because when we look at the things that are scientifically proven to help depression, it is things like exercise, fresh air, talking to people, eating well, sleep. It's looking after like the basic sort of stuff, like getting good sleep, eating well, exercise. I
Yeah.
mean, don't get me wrong, no one's more disappointed than me at those things that keep that exercise and good food are great for us, apparently. I'm so disappointed in that because you have no idea how much I like pizza and lying in bed. But it's good for us. But I also know that many people with depression have heard that I'll just go for a walk. And the one thing I always say to people, like, if you've got depression and you can find the energy to go for a walk, the one thing I will almost always guarantee is you'll come back and you won't feel better. Not in that moment. And I always think it's like a little bit like going to the gym. Like you don't go to the gym once and come out and go, oh, I'm fit and healthy. I never have to do that again. You have to keep
I
doing
wish we
it.
lived in that
I
world.
wish it was. I wish that was the case. It's not. You have to keep doing it. It's the kind of same with these things for depression that you do them without feeling a benefit to them, but trusting that if I do them consistently,
Yeah.
it will make a difference.
will.
So the nudge I always use when I talk about this is, you've never been to the Orkney Islands, have you?
No.
I used to live in the Orkney Islands for just over a year or so, a few years back. Absolutely amazing place. I do recommend if anyone ever gets the chance to go to the Orkney Islands, you really should. Just whatever you're interested in, there is something up there for everyone. Absolutely gorgeous place. But the way the islands are kind of spread out, they're almost in kind of like a horseshoe shape, like it's a series of different islands. And because of the way that the islands are shaped, the sea in between is really still, like it's almost like a lake. It's what they call scapa flow.
Oh,
And
wow.
because it's so still, it's where we housed a lot of our naval fleet during the Second World War. And to make it a little bit more safe, they decided what they were going to do is between some of the islands, and particularly down sort of the east coast of that, they were going to build causeways between the islands to stop submarines from coming in. And the way that they decided they were going to do this was basically just make giant concrete blocks,
Absolutely.
like 10 foot by 10 foot by 10 foot, and then just drop them in the sea until there was enough of them to plug up this gap. And some of these gaps are like quarter of a mile long. Like these are not small gaps. So, and they used Italian prisoners of war to do it. Firstly, imagine you're an Italian prisoner of war. You've come from Italy to the very north. For anyone who doesn't know where the Orkney Islands are, go as far north as you can go and then get on a ferry and go a bit further north. Like that's the Orkney Islands. So you've gone from Italy to the very, very north of Scotland. And then you're told your job is to cast these giant concrete blocks, drop them in the sea until you can walk from this island to that island over there. And logically in your head, you know, well, it's possible. Like you just drop enough blocks, it'll happen. But imagine you cast that first concrete block and it gets dropped in the sea and it just drops to the bottom. And you look at it and you go, and then you look a quarter of a mile away and you go, this is ridiculous. This is just never going to happen. If you're imagining as well, like the concrete blocks were stacked nice and neatly, they're not. Imagine just getting a handful of Legos and just dropping them. That's literally what it looks like. I'll put an image like in the thing, on the video for it, which is going to be absolutely useful for those of you who are just listening to this. You're going to have to imagine it. But the thing is that they just kept doing it, block after block after block. But imagine how, at first, that must have been so dispiriting. The idea of like, this is never going to work. This is a waste of time. But they just did it, block after block after block. And after a while, you drop a block in and it sticks out above the surface of the water because it's got other blocks to rest on. And you just drop enough of them and you can build a causeway. And there's a road that goes over the top and it still exists now. You can drive across these causeways. Absolutely amazing. It's an amazing feat of engineering.
But engineering is a strong word for what this sounds to have been.
I mean, it's amazing that it worked. I'll be honest to you, but
rather than skill,
there must have been some judgment to it. Like someone must have gone, yeah, but it worked. But I always think back to those first early days where it must have felt so futile. And I think to people who are struggling with depression and are going, right, okay, I've been told trying to get good sleep, looking after my diet, just taking care of my physical needs and getting exercise, that's going to really help. And I'm doing that. And I'm the first few days into that and I don't feel any different at all. And I think that's the bit that's really difficult. Like on paper, the things that help with depression are simple. The difficult bit is you have to do them, knowing that actually I don't feel any different from doing them, but I'm trusting that at some point in the future, which might be 4, 5, 6 weeks away, that I'm going to feel some benefit to this. And that's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to do something, not feeling any benefit and trusting the process. And I think if you're supporting someone who is experiencing depression, one of the best things you can do is just to keep encouraging them to just take small steps, but do something every day because it will start to make a difference. It's that, again, that gradual climb out and nothing happens quickly,
Yeah.
but it's hard to just keep doing and going eventually. And I think it is a bit like going to the gym in the, you go to the gym on a regular basis. You don't get out one day and go, oh, you know what? I've made that change now. All of a sudden I am fit and healthy. It's like one day you wake up and you realize that that hill that you normally climb up every week, you don't feel as out of breath anymore, or you feel like you've just got a bit more energy at the end of the day and you don't know when it happened. It's just kind of happened at some point. And I think that's the kind of thing with depression as well, is there's never a morning where you wake up and go, oh my gosh, the depression has gone. It's like, actually, just have a day where you go, no, I don't feel as bad today.
Yeah.
I've actually, thinking back, I've done a lot more today than I've been able to do recently.
Mm.
It's gradual.
It is gradual. Brilliant analogy, by the way. Yeah, it's about consistency, isn't it? And I think it's about finding what works for you. So for some people, it might be routine, and that might be what's helpful with bringing those building blocks in of sleep, eating well, exercise. I think being with nature as well. I think that's a really, really good one and can be really grounding. But yeah, I think for me as well, it's about creating that consistency of, okay, I'm not going to feel better straight away, but I'm working towards something.
Y Consistency, routine's a really good one, I think.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
because it just gives you something to hold on to on those days where you don't feel like you're getting anywhere. And again, it comes back a little bit to trusting the process. Having a routine, something that you can stick to on those days where it's actually a bit harder, can just help you. Whatever that routine looks like for you as well, that's gonna be different for different people.
Definitely. Definitely.
The last question I got down is, how effective is therapy? As a therapist, would you recommend therapy for depression?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course I would.
But of
But
course,
it's
now I'm
not a
gonna ask
quick
you to
fix.
justify it.
Well, it's not a quick fix. I
No.
think I would always say that. I think people always come to therapy, not always, but often with the idea that this is a magic cure and I'm going to feel better immediately. And that isn't the case. It takes a while.
And I think part of that journey is that acceptance bit at the beginning. Sometimes there's a bit of work to be done just to get to that point. And yeah, it isn't a quick fix.
It's not a quick fix. And I think also that therapy looks different, doesn't it, for a lot of
Yeah.
people, you know. Some people come to therapy and do lots of work outside of therapy because it's exciting and, you know, they want to feel better. And then for other people, it might be that actually in that moment, therapy can be quite overwhelming and that it needs to stay contained in just that session.
And I think how you use therapy is different for different people. Some people, it's that safe space where I can go and just be genuinely me. Like, I don't feel with my family and friends, I can let them know how deep this depression feels.
Yeah.
Like, they're scratching the surface of it, but I'm masking a lot of the time. And therapy is my space to go and just go, this is just me right now. And it's the only place I can go and be 100% genuine,
Yeah.
so that we can kind of get some of that off our chest
Yeah.
and then kind of steel ourselves to go back into the world. Because as much as I advocate for people being their authentic selves, I know there are lots of reasons why people can't always do that. Having that
Definitely.
safe space is really helpful. And
Yeah.
sometimes it might be actually you go because you want tips and advice and things that practical things you can do.
Mm.
And some people go to therapy for that as well.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's about that human connection. I think often with therapy, it's not always known what is helping, but it's about that genuine human connection with somebody. And I think sometimes it can be just talking, being, wow, this person really accepts me. And maybe not even the acknowledgement of that.
Yeah. I'm going to ask a question now because the thing you said there about not quite knowing what it is that works. So our therapists are going to hate us for talking about this,
Go
but
on.
have you ever been with a client and they're going, this is really helping me. And you go, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what it is I'm doing
Absolutely.
that is helping. I'm trusting that actually you are genuine when you say it's helping, but I don't know what I'm doing that's helping.
Yeah, yeah. That
And
I always
that's,
fall back on. You trust the
yeah,
process, trust the process of human connection, and
yeah.
that they're experiencing something, and you or I may not know what that
No,
is.
no. And I think the reason I was so not reluctant, but like nervous at voicing that is like, well, you're therapist. You should know what you're doing. Like,
Yeah.
surely you have a plan. You have a strategy. You're
Oh, that terrifies me.
it's
That
like,
thought that we have a plan. We
yeah,
don't always have a plan.
no,
It's not. It's
no.
not how we work, is it?
We have
Humanistically.
ideas of like what helps. And that importance of human connection is a big part of that, because sometimes we're offering human connection and that genuineness that isn't available in someone else's
Yeah.
life. But yeah, the amount of times someone's gone, "Oh, I'm finding this so helpful, like it's making such a difference," and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what it is that's helping. I'm just trusting that the process is helping. But
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. And I'd always go back to the client knows more about themselves than I ever will. They are the expert. I'm not. I might have knowledge on certain areas, but they are the expert. And
yeah.
I will trust that they're doing what will help them too in that session.
I think a lot of what we're doing is facilitating them to find their answers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's been really lovely talking to you about what
Yeah.
is quite a heavy subject. I hope that that has been helpful for those of you who are listening. And if you came to this session with no idea about depression, my hope is that you're leaving with a little bit more of an idea now. Thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you on another session. Bye for now.
Thank you. See you soon.